Hey, hey, Mr. Kyrie.
Peace.
How are
It
you?
sounding okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep. Everything's good so far, so good.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's Friday the 13th.
Spooky.
Perfect time for a shadow work talk, right?
Indeed, indeed. Let's
Okay.
talk. It.
Well, I have a couple of questions for you because I'm so intrigued by your journey and the posts that you have been posting.
hmm
So, my first question for you is what prompted your spiritual journey?
I think what prompted my spiritual journey is the fact of being born in Massachusetts. That's at the 42-degree parallel and kind of have a destiny before I could think, before I could reason. Like, my first memory is that of a plum. Like, I wanted a plum so bad, right?
Yeah.
That's my very first memory. And I feel like that is the start to my spiritual journey because I'm always reflecting on establishing or building consciousness. Like, what was I doing up until that point? Because I was about 4 years old, right? And I remember things coming in and out. So that means I was existing
Right,
without thinking. And
right.
that blows my mind because I'm very present. And being present, I always ask myself these questions. Who am I? Where am I? Because I guess I was afraid of forgetting like I did when I was 4 years old. Is this making sense?
Mm, yes.
Okay. So I've always been conscious. I've always been spiritual, and I've always been in the search for God. So the first was being very young, being very religious,
Mm,
right? So I was very into the Bible, very into Adam and Eve, very into Samuel, King David. I found myself in these stories, right? I seen these stories as black people, black men, women, and it was just like people with fros and beards, right? When I'm reading the biblical stories and narratives. And I really resonated with like Isaiah. This was about like when I was 12.
wow.
But at that particular time, I had a metamorphosis called adolescence where my limbic system was developing, where I knew that I was a spiritual entity, but it wasn't satisfying emotional development. So I suppressed that side of me and forayed into street life.
Okay. No judgment, because that happens to a lot of us with no
Yes,
guidance.
yes. So from 14, well, I was a straight A student up until, well, mainly throughout school, I was a straight A student, but I dropped out at 11 because I wasn't being, excuse me, I wasn't being satisfied emotionally, right? I
So,
wasn't being,
sorry, can I interrupt
go
really
ahead,
quick? So you dropped out at 11, or meaning you
grade,
checked out
11th grade,
mentally? Oh,
at
11th grade.
grade, I was done with school,
Mm, wow.
right?
Yeah.
And I had older friends. My friends were probably 19, 20. I was about 17, and I started to sell drugs. Long story short, I wasn't supposed to be in the street life. So I was more or less being taken advantage of. And being taken advantage of is what they call like a mule or a
Right.
storehouse or a trap house, right? Where people hold guns and drugs. So, if any if any police come, it doesn't go to the person who really is. It goes to the person that's holding it.
Right.
So I was 19 and I went to prison
Wow.
because of a situation like that. And my views of my friends at that time was okay. They'll support me. They'll ride with me. They'll hold me down.
Mhm.
And long story short, that did not happen. So I doing 2.5 years state prison in Ohio because we moved from Boston to Ohio when I was 5 years old. And from there, I just lived the rest of my life in Ohio, go back and forth to here and there. But I ended up going to Boston after I got out in 2006. And in jail was a very spiritual time for me. I really developed a sense of self, a sense of awareness, a sense of mind, a sense of reflection, a sense of purpose, even because I knew that once I got out of jail, I was going to make something of my life. However, I just didn't know. So I wasn't as successful as most people because I spent a lot of time developing myself.
But
And now,
yeah, that success is all relative.
yeah, I would financially, I
Right.
was more going for like the gusto. So I would do professional development courses and things like that once I got out of prison because I knew that it was more about building relationships, showing up, and these types of things. So I just kind of, when I got out of jail, I was just learning and how to have conversations like this, how to dress, how to talk, because a majority of my life was spent either being confused, lost, or in prison. So once I got out, I had to really fast track adulthood because a lot of people have so much guidance, so much fathers and mothers, family, and it really sets them up. And if you don't have that, you might have what is called a tough life, but really it's to teach you.
It's your soul lesson.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I know that now, right? And another critical part to the spiritual development for me was like people it's not that I don't like talking about it. I just don't want people to feel sorry for me.
Right.
But it starts with love. I had a high school sweetheart, and we were very close. We were best friends. We were in love with one another. And eventually we would get married, right? Because that's how we were. And she got into a car accident in 2011. That kicked the spiritual journey because I didn't never accept her death. And that was 2007. I apologize. 2011, I moved from Massachusetts back to Ohio, and I'm still sad about that situation, mind you, 4 years later, because who knows how to grieve and who knows how to really get past that traumatic. It didn't happen to me, but it sure felt like it. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because at the moment that she transcended, she became my God. The reason that I know that is because it happened to me again. I have 2 children, was starting a family in Columbus, was a truck driver, had a very well-paying job, a house, 2 young kids, and my girlfriend at the time, child's mother at the time, she transcended just out of the blue one day. Like it wasn't even nothing that we could say happened, you know. She just transcended, and that was another thing that was like, okay. And so I had my 2, you know, a life, and of course I was still trying to get my mind together from what happened with my high school sweetheart.
Right.
From that, it was nothing else for me but the spiritual life, or it was suicide.
Mm.
Because what's the purpose of living when death is so close to me? So because of that, I really had to figure everything out, such as the shadow, because it would seem as though a dark cloud
right.
is like going to prison. I'm not understanding life. I don't have a dad. You know, my dad was married, right? So if you was to see my brother or my sister, it's like I don't fit because I'm in the middle, right? His daughter and son is from his wife, of course, and his son is older than me, and his daughter is younger than me. So it's like, if
Well,
I'm,
you had your place.
yeah, but it didn't feel that way. It never felt that way. So in reference to figuring out why I'm here or who am I, that question got so thick and so much of a needed to answer, it led into a rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
So much studying, so much knowledge, so much information, everything from Hindu to astrology to psychology to astrology. If I said that, I do it twice, I guess. But yeah, it is a deep question of what in the world is Earth and what in the world, who am I in relation to everybody else in the world? And all of these words and scripts and scientific things, I feel like they apply to us in our experience. And I just tried to like translate it based upon all the questions that I've asked myself, you know? And yeah, for the most part, life has been a spiritual initiation after spiritual initiation,
Yes.
induction into guides and ancestors,
Yes.
spiritual concepts, channels, mediumships, and divinity, and all the goodness, you know, just in the comfort of my own home. So it is it's been an interesting life so far, right? And that is where I'm at with once I began to ask myself these deep questions.
So another question that I had, being that, you know, you go into prison at such a young age and not having guidance and not having a male figure around, which is common in Black community, which is unfortunate. Who was your guide? Like when you were in the throes of prison, because that's a tough place to be. How did you maintain your spirituality? Who did you read? What did you read?
Graham Hancock, I would say, was the initial mind opener for me.
Okay.
Fingerprints of the Gods. And he began to talk about the Olmecs and how the Olmecs look like Black men. And I was like, well, I know Black people in San Diego, you know, I know Black people in Texas. So that means I can know Black people in Central Mexico or Central America, right? And I think I made a real connection with that understanding very early, that I had ancestors, that I had a spiritual connection. And another thing, I'll tell you, my mentor was myself, because I was very heavy. Like I was probably 330 pounds before I went to prison. And when I got out, I was like 250 muscle. You know what I'm saying? I never had read a book. Like when you're young, you don't want to read, especially me, I was a tech baby. So I never read a print book, you know. By the time I got out of prison, I'd have read about hundreds of books, you know. I learned how to play chess, Scrabble, all of these things that I would have never experienced if I'd have been out on the streets. So ultimately, I realized that I was super strong. I thought I was weak. I thought I was fat. I thought I was dumb, you know. And nobody
All the things society labels you.
Yeah, nobody confirmed it right or wrong, but I knew within myself that I was growing and I was expanding. And that was a surprise. I never knew that I could change myself. And it was real eye-opening for me.
So another thing I wanted to ask you about, because a lot of people don't have that strength. You know, a lot of people are searching. That's why we have cults. That's why we have people that follow Donald Trump. You know what I mean? Like they can't think for themselves. So did you always feel that you had a voice telling you, like a small voice guiding you, a still voice? Or was it just like, okay, this is what you have to do for yourself to better your life?
Yeah and no. It was never a voice. It was never a word. It was never language. But the thing that I knew that I had within me that I wasn't aware of was music. And this happened when I was in prison. And this was the only time that it ever happened. And it was because I was in the hole. And in the hole is very quiet. What was I in the hole for? I think I refused to do a mandate by a CO. He wanted me to pick up rocks. And I said, I'm not picking up rocks. So they sent me to the hole, right? Which was a blessing in disguise because it was so quiet at night that I heard my mind, right?
Right.
This was the first time ever life, because it was so quiet, right? And it was this band playing, and this band was playing music that it was like amazing. Like I hear every instrument, I hear the cymbal, I hear the jazz horn, I hear everything playing, and I know that I'm playing it. Right? Because if I want to do changes, if I want to change the song, change the rhythm, change the tempo, I can do that too. But it's in my silence. It's in my no thought. I have nothing to do tomorrow right now at all but sit in this room.
Right.
And what it slowed me down and stopped me down and realized this music. And I still utilize this music when I want to get stuff done. And
You remember the tune?
It was avant-garde music from John Coltrane, Rashawn Roland Kirk, Yusuf Lateef, right? Sun Ra. It was like a conglomeration. And these are my spirit guides. I named my son after my spirit guide, John Rashawn Lateef.
Wow.
Because it is the music, right? It's not, and it's chaotic, weird. It's not on key. It's not on beat. It's not syncopated. It's pure chaos. And that's when I tune into my source. And even so, I have 4 small children. And they are the manifestations of my spirit guides, because they can all be crying at the same time. And me and my wife would be saying, do they got ripe grapefruit at the market? Because the last time I went there, we'll be just having a whole conversation. Kids in the back just, and it's music to us. It's a deep story, but yes, I listen to
get it.
But it's musical.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You choose to view it that way because a lot of people claim it to be noise when their kids are talking. And that's the paradigm that we grew up in, is you should be seen, not heard.
Right.
And I think kids should be seen and heard because they are the closest to source. They are the closest to spirit until 100%. The shadow side starts to kick in.
Yeah, which comes from our parents.
And not only our parents, but our teachers, our peers, just the society that we live in. They deem what is good, what qualities of us that they like or they don't like. And so we take that as children and internalize it. So that's pretty amazing. I didn't know that, my friend. Wow. So you did have your own internal instrument, guiding instrument.
Yes.
And it wasn't necessarily a voice.
No, not a voice per se, because I've realized that voice has had me into situations that are unfavorable, but it's always work to be done. And the work is done when the chatter stops and the music removes the chatter. But if I'm listening to hip hop, bibbity bop, I'm like, nah, I'll do more like design work or not like serious spiritual work if I'm listening to music with words. Like that's more of like my guilty pleasure. But now music and input is a way to focus or get things done at a high level outside of, just listening to it for enjoyment.
Okay, so music is a tool for you.
Yes.
I'm with you on that. I come from a musical family as well, so.
Really? What type of music?
Everything. I love hip hop. I like the raunchy stuff. I like classical. I like country. My mother is from the South. I grew up listening to Crystal Gayle and Kenny Rogers, but also my dad, he played for Al Green before Al Green was Al Green.
Okay.
And so he introduced me to funk, Jimi Hendrix, all that good stuff. It's just always been a part of who I am. And my grandmother used to play with Duke Ellington. She was a classically trained pianist. So I grew up with music, and it always would soothe my soul. Just a certain tune or a certain tone, like I was telling you about the 528s, it just does something to my psyche. It does something to my energy. Either calms me down or gets me hyper, or makes me creative. So you're right. It all, depends on what mood I'm in, what type of music I listen to. But your shadow side, one thing I wanted to address, I didn't know that you were in prison. And I'm glad you made it out, because we need people like you in this world.
So I'm a completely different person than I'm 36 years old now, and I went to prison at 19. Of course, it's a completely different person, but I wish I would have knew that. Everything is so important and so important. I broke up.
Sorry, my phone just went out.
Oh,
So I'm
sorry.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I said that, when you're younger, everything is so important that you never know that you're going to grow up and mature, right? And I wish I would have known that because I would have took things a lot easier. But in reference to the shadow or the past, it is what makes me who I am. So I don't mind sharing it, because it's not all roses and, beautiful, all good. I've come to that conclusion because I got bad and good, and I'm whole, and I don't mind sharing the negative aspects, because that is the shadow. It may turn a person like, I don't like you, right? But that's cool. I've learned to be like, that's cool. Everybody's not supposed to like me. I'm not going to change or be fake to get more subscribers or more views and things of that nature, because there's real stuff going on. And shadow work for me is bringing that reality to spirituality, and is never going to be the most popular thing.
No, shadow work is not.
Ready for you, it's going to help you. It's going to build you up.
Well, here's my thing. Like, I woke up 3:30 in the morning listening to that inner voice talking about shadow work. And the light can't exist without the dark. The yin can't exist without the yang. The sun can't exist without the moon. So you need the dark just as much as you need the light. And because society has placed so much negativity on the shadow or the darkness, it pertains to, black magic, or you're doing Ouija board and stuff like that. It's the stigma that comes along with it. But it's something that needs to be brought to the forefront for a lot of people that are trying to get on their spiritual journey, especially right now, because it's just so important with the age of the Aquarius. Everything, the feminine rising is happening. So a lot of people that have lived in the patriarchy and have lived in the darkness for so long is not going to know what to do with the light, because they've never integrated.
Right.
So it's all, go ahead.
No, that's what I do. Like, in this work, you more or less talk to more women, and a lot of people can mislead a lot of women. Like, oh, let's talk about your relationship. Let's talk about getting your money, girl. You about to be a millionaire and all this type of stuff. When I talk to women, and I love the fact that I'm able to speak to the goddess in them, I'm able to talk to the cleansing and the purifying and the truth of their spiritual power and their psychic gifts, because most of us have suppressed our psychic gifts. And Black women, if we got a physical world and we got a spiritual world, and you have dominance on the physical world, then you have dominance on the spiritual world. Who is the dominant spiritual entity on this planet? It is our Black women. Now, who are Black women? So I love what I do. I love who I am. I love the conversations that I can have, because I know that. And I know that, not you specifically, but I know that there's Black women that don't know that all the way. They don't know that they the most powerful entity on the planet. I love being that reminder. I love being that wake-up call, because that's what it is out here. And it's so like people like Kevin Samuels and all of this, anything that's going on, probably trying to be a trick between you and your power, you know? And I love to, you know, bring that to the reality. And as a man though, right? Your dominance in divinity don't do nothing but empower me. Cause
But you know what?
Side.
That's because you have gone through the levels of your brain and your psyche and your spirit and your soul. You've done the work. Not a lot of people have done the work, and they're scared to do the work. So this is why I wanted to have this conversation with you. Like I told you before, I didn't have much support from Black men growing up. Not my father, not the men in my family. They were off doing their own things. So it's just amazing to me to be able to have this conversation with you. You've done the work. So how would you want to explain? I already know you explained with, you know, through your posts and everything, to explain to men that are trying to get on their spiritual journey and connect with a woman, and let alone a Black woman. It takes a different type of energy that you have to connect with, because we have gone through so many things. We are over sexualized. We are, you know, demonized. Here's my thing. I have a chapter in the book that I'm writing for myself, or it's my biography. It's called Fuck, Fear, or Fight. Those are the 3 F's that Black women deal with on a daily basis. You know what I mean? So it's like, we don't know whether you want to fuck us, fight us, or you fear us, or want to be us. Like we don't understand. So it's just something that, how would you introduce it to a very green individual?
Yeah. So for the first part, the first thing for any man, 100%, 110%, if you think it applies to you, if you think it don't apply to you, it absolutely applies to every man. When you address a Black woman, little girl, 28-year-older, 19-year-older, 65-year-old, any Black woman, you never, ever sexualize her. That's the first rule. Under any circumstances, never a thought, you never imagine sexualizing a woman. Why? Because a woman is never your sexual object, even if she's your wife.
But a lot of men don't get that.
I understand. So for that's the first step. Because if I have the seed of lust, every interaction is a watering of that. Now, you might have a little girl or a young lady around a man that does not, and a man don't understand that about himself. Right. She don't understand that about a man, and they keep interacting, right? And you don't understand that in that man, he can't, if he's not unequivocally in the sense of removing that seed, it germinates, it grows. And this is where you have all of the defilement and all of the ignorance. Because at a certain point, if I want to be manipulative, I think I can be.
Yes. Right? Men can. Yes. They have the power.
Very manipulative if I decide to be manipulative, and that scares me. So in reference to having relationships with women, you have to be so clear that you do not sexually objectify her. And as a woman, you have to understand that you shouldn't be alone with a grown man. Right? That's probably 1A.
Yeah. But that's sometimes unavoidable.
Yeah. Especially if you at work, or especially if you're at college and you're in these environments. But as a mindset, as a rule, when you're dating and all of these particular things, or even develop in a spiritual relationship, we can always talk on the phone. We can always do FaceTime. You know what I'm saying? And if the relationship means that much to me, like we're having this conversation right now, it's mad wild if I'm like, no, we got to meet face to face alone in the hotel room to do that. That's super over the top. You know what I'm saying? So if the relationship matters with technology, we can get it popping all day. We can text. You know, there's so much to learn about people that we can actually do that now. But if you thinking sexually, I think that it creates and it germinates into manipulation. And once you're in the realms of manipulation, all you're thinking about is the serpent or the pleasure of the sensual nature of a woman, right? But in my life, women have, okay, Miss Rose Williams, Owani Tara. I was a young man just trying to figure out everything. I didn't know anything about myself. She gave me a tarot reading and was telling me about myself. Right? A Black woman that changed my life, right? Changed the way that I was thinking. Never is a sexual thing, you know? I can only imagine all of the positive relationships that I've created over the years, and sex was never nothing.
But this is why I'm interviewing you, because you are an anomaly. Not many out there. And I'm speaking from experience, you know, being a 7-year-old little girl and having grown men say nasty stuff to me. You know, like, I'm a little girl. What do you see? So that, again, going back to the shadow, obviously something was made wrong in that person's life to where they have to over-sexualize a child or a woman constantly. You know, does that make sense?
It's like, if you don't have women around you, like if you haven't, I don't know, even like, I can't necessarily say having women around you, because generally it has to be something within yourself. It has to be some level of understanding that you are God within yourself, and the woman is the antithesis or the epitome of what God is. And I think that in conversations, to replace that seed and put a different seed in there, there has to be a conversation, because men are very logical. Men are very reasonable, right? And as I've in reference to
left brain
that is given to them, like, we can be stupid if we don't know, right? There's a lot of times where I've acted in a way that's really dumb and ignorant, and understanding. It took watching videos of Brother Polite. People talk stuff about Brother Polite, but that was the first man that coined the phrase in my brain that the Black woman is God. Right? And if I was going to argue that, if I was going to reason that, if I was going to create the logic around that, at least I have the concept. And maybe this conversation for a man gives him that concept, because he probably already got a girlfriend. Now, no, that's your God. Right? Can you handle that? It's like, no, she not my God. She get on my nerves. She da-da-da-da-da, you know? And it's like, okay, you're going to mistreat the person that's in your life, that you're making love to, probably got kids with. She's making your meals, right? But that's not your God, or she's not a version of God. Then what is? I look at people, and people to me represent the deepest aspects of divinity. I just hope that they see it within themselves and in the reflection.
I think that's why we are here as way showers, life number 8s, having the horrific experiences that we have had to guide people. Because, I mean, from my human experience, a lot of humans are lost. They don't understand. They don't know how to get back to the basics of spirituality, because they never were taught it. So from just like a green person who was walking off the street, lost his family because he was out partying, not understanding that you can't screw 15 other girls and come home to the same woman over and over again, you know what I mean? And is really like butt hurt and doesn't understand why he lost his family, hence my father. So it's like, do you not have any awareness? What happened to the awareness inside of you that where you just kept trampling through life and trampling on the people that loved and supported and cared about you? And this is widespread, not just in our community, but just between the sexes. So it's like, to have that awareness, something very special has to happen to you. And when I say special, sometimes it's catastrophic to kind of bring you into the awareness of, okay, I got to do different, be different, and show up differently for the people that I love.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a strong mother or any female roles until after you got out?
My mom was an Aquarius, and she really taught me how to be smart. like be smart. Like my mom was very educated, and she would like a lot of like what makes me who I am was the fact that like my mom used to read to me every night.
That's what I wanted to get to. I was going to say with your base, you
Right.
have somebody in your corner.
Yeah, and it's like my mom would read to me every night, but she would read to me with different voices.
Oh,
Like
really?
excellent reader, you know, like almost theatrical, right? To the point like she was like it was like my mind could go exactly to whatever she was reading because she would just immerse herself in the stories. And this was like everything formative for me, you know, because when I didn't know how to read, my mom was reading to me, which gave me like, I can't wait to fucking learn how to read because I'm gonna be this way. And so, like, to this day, my mom has always supported my creative endeavors. My first, my first memory was 4. So that means from like 4 to 5, I was like, I know what I want for my birthday, right? I wanted some turntables. I wanted to be a DJ, right? When I turned 5, I got turntables, right? I was the only 5-year-old with turntables because she supported. And now today, you know, I'm a DJ. You know, I'm on the radio, like I'm live on the airwaves. You know,
That's so cool.
you know what I'm saying? And that's what I've always like from that relationship between me and my mom, that support from that early age. Because she could have said, "I'm not buying no kid, no turntables, pop, right? Do some block, you know, some toys." I never was into toys. I always knew who I was and what I wanted to do. And because I had a mom, or because I chose that woman or that vessel to be that mom, it was almost if I knew that she was going to give me what I needed to be. It was not roses between me and my mom, but it's a perfect relationship because she is my womb, right? She is the vessel for which that has to be perfect, right?
Well, we choose our parents. Our
Yeah.
souls choose whether it's positive experience or negative. We choose our parents for the life lessons.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I feel 100% about my mom because even now I am who I am because of her. And that's because that's who I spent the majority of my time around. Because keep it a buck, I am a straight up mama's boy. You know what I'm saying? So,
Good. Mama's boys are good. That means you respect women. Some you get the rogue ones that love their mama, but
too much.
they don't let
You
them
love your
hoes. You know
mama
what I mean?
too much.
I'm just saying, you know what I mean. I'm
Yeah,
using this
for
out of
sure.
like just pure light and love, not
Not,
But
not obsession.
huh?
Not obsession. Love.
Listen, I had off subject. I had a boyfriend I was with. Man was in his 40s and still talking about his mummy.
Oh,
I said,
wow.
you need to go and screw your mummy
Oh,
because I'm not your mother. He called him mummy, mummy all the time. But anyway, that's off the subject. But I've
yeah.
been with a true mama's boy. So I love that when men have a good relationship with their mother, as long as they can think independently from their mother.
Right.
It's a beautiful relationship.
Right.
You know?
Because you still are having to be a man. And
Yes.
very important part to life in reference to, like, I get the romance and the lovey-dovey stuff about relationships, but more important part of relationships is protection.
Yes.
Or being a protective person in your relationship. Now, your mama can't teach you that. So unless she bout it. But sometimes,
Right.
you know, most women are, you know, a little on the dainty soft side, and that's cool, right? But in reference to what I need as a man, I need my father-in-law, my wife's dad, to teach me how to be a protector and a provider. Because I can love a woman up, you feel me? And in my heart, I'm like, maybe that's not all that comes to being a husband, where you have to tap into your protector role, your masculine energy, and that don't have nothing to do with your wife or your kids. It's about you being strong and wise and alert and aware and all of these things. And this is very important, for my children and for my wife. And I'm a lover too. So, this is shadow work for me was, learning about getting a gun and all of this type of stuff, because I'm thinking that life is roses and love and light, and life ain't that.
It ain't nothing like that.
It ain't that. So you gotta deal with that and address it instead of it being something that you're afraid of, right? Suppressing it. And it's like, I can't even say nothing to my wife. I can't be mad at her. I can't argue with her. I got to be more focused and centered and holding guard and protecting my family. If I'm sitting there arguing with her, there must be something about me that I ain't doing. And once I figured out, oh, you got masculine energy that you need to grow into. Now she not like, it wasn't like she was my enemy, but doing the shadow work, I have negative energy about myself and what I'm doing. And since I can't pinpoint myself, I would have to put it on my wife, right? That's shadow work.
The name of the game too, yeah. It's blaming, victim mode sometimes, but that's something that you got to go through to realize that we create situations in our lives to bring up the shadow work to be dealt with.
Yes.
Yes, shadow work. Oh, yeah. I got a lot of masculine traits to the point where some of my boyfriends, they told me, let me be the man. But because I didn't grow up with a father in my life, I felt that I had to go out and just be my own protector, So that took a lot getting into relationships. I would consciously pick relationships where I could be the feminine and not always the teacher. So a couple of my boyfriends told me, you know what, just why don't you relax? Let me take the reins. And I didn't know how to do that. And I realized I've got some integration. I got some shadow work to do. It's coming out in other ways. It's coming out.
It's powerful if a man is telling you that, because a lot of men won't even verbalize that, especially if you exude that energy, because that must mean he really is feeling you to tell you, you know what, I want you to relax. I want you to take control, because I'll tell you another point. A lot of men don't have that within them.
Right.
Or they have it. They just be more or less like, let's do 50-50, or help me and all of that, right? Grown, healthy, sex-looking men, right? But be needy as hell.
Hell yeah.
Right?
I call them man babies.
Yeah. So you that's shadow work though, right?
Yes. And that's one of the reasons why I consciously picked the relationships that I was in, because I knew I was going to either continue to grow with this person or be able to grow with them for a certain amount of time and then move on. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I pick my partners. I'm very selective with who I let in my life, because I know how sensitive I am. And somebody can just come in and tear up your shit down to nothing, everything that you built up. So you got to be careful, especially when you're dealing with the shadow work, because you are drudging up shit that's from the past. And you may just get that one person that wants to desecrate you just for ego purposes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Male or female.
Yeah, I mean, it will happen. I mean, you referenced the 8 life path number in the path of alchemy, and some of your terror downers are some of your greatest guides, because they're pulling you through that alchemy. Now, the problem is when we get stuck in a particular situation or a traumatic event, if you're an 8 life path, because as long as we hold our negative experiences being valued, we're saying to the whole world, look at my pain. My pain is so special, and you should cater and love my pain. In reality, everybody is moving on. What we'll notice about it is that we will be the most successful when we just let go. right? When we just tap into our spiritual energy and figure out, or even ask the question, why did that happen? You know, this was so crazy. And at a certain point, life will happen so crazy and so in synchrony. It's like, it has to be a spiritual influence here, right?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Astrology, numerology. Do you follow astrology pretty closely?
Yeah, pretty closely, pretty intently.
Okay.
Very into it.
Do you do charts for people as well? You offer that?
Charts for people all the time.
Okay.
I'm backed up with readings right now. But like, I can't just read you like a factory, right? So it's like, I got 2 sets of reading prices. I got the $25, and I can't do those all the time, but I do them. You know, I ain't gonna have them forever.
I know.
When I'm in the mood.
Yes.
Right? That's why they $25. But then I do $250, where it's more
in depth.
I get up off of my couch for $250. Other than that, I just, you know, it's such of a. So I'm a real psychic. I'm a real intuitive. I'm really empathic. I'm really going to give you a spiritual reading. So I'm not about to promote this shit.
I'm with you on that.
Real energy. And my real energy is so beneficial. I know it's beneficial because I know it benefits me. And I know it benefits my clients. But at the same point, I enjoy life. You know, I enjoy, like right now, I could do readings, but I'm working on the video. And I'm not even going to give you that energy. So when I do readings, it's the first thing in the morning. Or if I schedule a reading, I'm clearing my schedule because, you know, every reading that I do, like the 250, their higher self is working with me, crafting that reading.
Yes.
Like, and it's like, they need to talk about this. You need to bring up this. You got to talk about their mama. And it's like, okay, it's exhausting to the point that after I do a reading, after the whole process is over, I got to eat.
Yes. Get hungry, right? I get hungry and tired after a reading. I'm like, oh man. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I understand that.
I had to learn that I got to eat right. So I plan my meals before the reading. And after the reading, I go straight into the meal because what I've learned, like if I don't plan it, I'm like an animal. I'm just on the prowl and I might eat something like I don't eat meat. But if I'm hungry enough and it's late enough, I'll just eat. And it's just like, okay, I can't do that. And this is very serious. So I have to learn the aesthetics before, during, and after. Obviously, it's like you have a gift, right? Well, and you have to nurture it. You have to know the rituals before, during, and after. So yeah, I'm really into readings. I've been reading full time since 2018. You know,
you have your cards out?
Huh?
You got your cards out?
Do I got my cards out? I got cards all over the place.
I'm shuffling as we're talking.
I got cards everywhere. So.
I'm shuffling. And when you were talking, Kyrie, I just want to show you what flew out twice. You, the creator. Yes. There's some more creation coming up for you.
Yes, I definitely received that.
Yes.
Because that's what I like to do. That's what I like to do. I am a creator.
Yeah, well, that's what this is saying. It's it flew out twice. I was like, no, let me just make sure. But yeah, I'm enjoying this conversation with you. What do you feel about how can you guide people to think for themselves, being sovereign, as opposed to constantly, as soon as they come home, they turn on the news, or they get on social media and start looking at negative stuff and posting about the vaccine, and that's major shadow shit, you know, major. what would your advice be for my audience, since this is all new, my first live, so thank you for being part of it.
Anytime.
Yes, we're gonna definitely do this again.
Yes.
What would be your advice? Because I can give advice to my people, but it's always different when it comes from a male, and especially a black male. Spiritual advice.
Yeah, I mean, it's very important to do chakra work.
Yes.
Very important to do shadow work. Now, chakra work is developing a system of understanding your own personal energy and your own emotional responses. There's a lot of false information out here when it comes to spiritual information. And if that's the first thing, if you tapped into Robin, you tapped into me, you tapped into like somebody who's really understanding of spiritual energy, more or less they're empathic. So you might look up to Robin or you might look up to me, but we are just your reflections.
Right.
We hold the space for you in this moment. It has nothing to do with me or her because we understand our calling. And it's not, our calling is not for us. Our calling is for you.
You.
So
right.
if you are a person who is admiring somebody or you can see somebody like that person got it going on, that's about you.
It's about your wants, envy, ego. That's ego.
Right. It don't have nothing to do with them because you probably won't get what they have or do the things that it takes to get what they have.
Because it was meant for them.
Yes. So the main thing is to be so in tune with what you have and also how you feel. This is so key. Like, you'll talk to somebody, right? And they're like, I feel so bad. And then you'll say, okay, tell me about yourself. Yeah, I'm a CEO, PhD, scientist, inventor. I got four cars, 4 houses. I travel all over the world.
Right?
People love me, but I'm just so sad. Can you help me? And
my
it's
life
like,
sucks. Yes. Yeah.
if you don't start feeling good about what you got and who you are and all of the blessings that the creator energy has bestowed upon you, then I don't know what else to tell you.
And yes, I'm stuttering because it's like, yes, I get that with people. They want me to tell them their entire future. Yes, you are a multimillionaire and you own 15 mansions all over the freaking world and have a private jet. But yet, this is going to happen. This other amazing thing is going to happen for you. You know what I mean? I'm like, how greedy can you get right now?
Yeah, you want more stuff.
You want more, physical stuff. What you're lacking is inside. And my mother used to always say, because I'd wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning hungry, not realizing I was getting visited by spirits when I was younger. And I'm like, Mommy, I'm hungry. She's like, baby girl, you're not hungry for food. You're hungry for spirit. Your spirit is hungry. So that's what I try to tell my clients when they lay out all their accolades and all the shit that they've done, that they've had accomplished. I'm like, you need spirit nourishment. That's what's lacking, because you want more and more and more, and it's not filling up your cup, right?
Yes. I mean, watch this cool stuff. So we have the Aeon, right, which represents the world or birth from spirit.
Yes.
Right? And then you have the 9 of Cups, which says material gain. Right?
Yes.
And then you have the 3 of Cups, which represent overflowing. Right? So we are so prosperous when we tune into the fact of our reality. Because I know the thing that drives me about spiritual work is that I'm so impressed by you guys. Right? And you're just looking at yourself like, oh, I'm so insignificant and so untalented. And it's just like BS. You just don't see what other people see. I love referencing people's first houses in their charts, right? People who have Jupiter in their first first house, all of these energies in their first house, meaning that people are seeing this talent on them and they're not seeing it within themselves. So powerful when you sit and really think about it, because we're so in our minds, we're like, this boy dumped me. I wore a messed up outfit on Saturday. My hair wasn't together when I went to prom like I wanted it to be. All of this stuff just going floating around in your head. And if you were just to remove it, bring it into the present, you will see all of the blessings that the Creator has for you. But our minds are so fixated in the past that we can't understand the spiritual. And the spiritual is where our material gain is at. It's where our overflowing is at. I guarantee you, you know? So it's a very important part.
What you just said, a card slipped out. Now I can't find it. It was called clinging to the past.
See? You see?
Yes. Let me pull that sucker up. Where'd it go?
Yeah.
I just kind of
That's the energy we need right now, because we need to let that stuff go.
Here it is, clinging to the past. And this person is a blockhead. And this is about emotions. So you're emotionally clinging to old shit that is just no longer valid anymore. And if you turn around, this person has a big old glass of champagne waiting for them if they just put that box down.
It's a celebration.
Right.
It's a celebration. And if you don't have that celebratory spirit, it's because we're reflecting on our past fears.
Exactly. Right? Past failures, past whatever.
Whatever. It's a lot.
Yes. Oh my God.
It's a lot.
Harry, I'm just loving this flow right now. I got chills.
Yes.
There's another one. Okay, apathy. I know you've gone through your bout of apathy. You know, being in prison. I went through my apathy for 8 years. Almost lost my life. So you told me what you did when you were in prison, and you found your own sovereignty, which is great. And that is a huge example, big example of being sovereign, is what you went through. You didn't let the outside affect you. You still maintain your strength. Whereas most people would have fallen apart and would have never been the same. They would have played that sob story over and over again. Do you know what I mean? So what was your, if you don't mind sharing, if it's not too personal, what was your deepest bout of apathy before or after your spiritual awakening?
So give me a clear definition of apathy so I can give a clear.
Okay. Apathy is lack of interest, lack of emotional interest in anything. Everything that you used to do, being just what you call quote unquote normal, you know, you just have no interest in participating in life anymore. You're like, fuck it. This shit happened to me. You don't mind me swearing. I have a foul now.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah, my mouth's probably fouler, sis. I'm just trying to be cool.
Come on, bring it.
No, for real. Like, okay, I got you now, because I think for me is that I'm a human, right? I'm a human being. I have this family, but then at a certain point, I have this high level of trauma. And there was an event that happened where I was, gotta bring it back, sorry. As you know, how stuff be in the past and you bring it back. But yeah, all right, so.
Here, let me do it. Let's do a little 528s right quick.
Sure.
For the group, for ourselves. Okay. Please proceed.
So, I was a young human at this particular point, but I had an opportunity for, it's called an indwelling. It's called an in spirit. And these things only happen when you transition, but it is not your time to go.
Yes.
So when you're not ready to go, a spirit comes, right? Because, okay, I got shot, right? But I didn't get, right? I know I got shot, but when I came to, I just had got like a knot on my head or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I even told my mom, I'm like, Mom, I got shot. She said, boy, you ain't get shot. What the hell you talking about? I said, okay, I guess I didn't get shot.
Right.
But what that was a spirit coming in, and everything that I talk about, right, is on another level. Right? I got friends and family, real friends and family. It's no connection to them. I love them. I remember them at a human level, but where I'm headed to, my progression, I'm never not on a level of spiritual height or spiritual gnosis where I say, you know what? I'm gonna stop moving forward, go back to my past and start dealing with the people in my past. Never.
Right.
Never, ever, ever. So I'm always forward moving and tapped into the spirit. But at a certain point, there was a time that catalyzed, right? And it was the understanding of death happening at a human level, and then the spiritual happening. And the reason that I'm telling you that it's an indwelling is an in spirit, because if people just hear the things that I'm saying, I'm not a human. Like no
You and
human.
I both. We're aliens. We know it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just a regular guy from Ohio, fam. Like, it's no way that I can think like this. I'm amazed at the way that I think, not to brag, but to just explain to you what's happening. And that separation or moment, even though it's traumatic, even though it sucks, allowed me to be present. It allowed me to be spiritual. It was the gateway between my human and the psychology of my life, because I have this experience to reference, and then I have the proof. I've written books, like, what the hell? Like, I can't imagine me ever writing books. I don't even have the mindset. Like, I talk so much. I do, but I know myself. I know that it's a spiritual download.
Yes.
And I can, explain that or elaborate on that. But yeah, it's just like, that was what it was for me. It was a complete change in course of history. But even before, even after, trying to reconcile things, you'll go through things where you're like, okay, I'm not vibing with my family and I need to go my own way. But I'm strong enough to go my own way. And making the decision to go your own way, you're essentially trusting that soul path. Trusting in your family, you never really know, especially if you're not enjoying the path that they're leading you down.
Yes, I am 100% on board with you on that. That's one of the reasons why I moved to LA when I was 19, 20 years old. Not that I disagree with my family. I love my family. We're all very spiritual to a certain degree. But I knew that I had to go off and do some other stuff that just wasn't normal. And I didn't want my family to influence me saying yay or nay, or that's good. Submerging my shadow side. Let me just put it to you this way. One of the reasons why I guess I picked shadow work is because when I left home at 19, I indulged in my shadow side. Had the time of my life. Oh, thank God there was no smartphones back then. Woo!
It's part of it. It's part of it.
Right. Exactly. So I just want people to understand that having a shadow side is not negative. It could be a beautiful thing if you participate in the journey as opposed to resisting it. And if y'all need help, you got us. You can help. We can help you with that. And that's one of the reasons why I was so intrigued by your posts and everything you have to say. Being a man, and then number one is huge for me because I spent a majority of my 20s trying to relate to men this way, and all they wanted was what was in between my legs, and underneath my shirt, and couldn't understand the depth that I had. So I was like, screw it. I'm just not dating. I'm just not going to date anybody because I just can't. Nobody can get on my level. Not to say I'm higher than anybody. It's just like my soul is about 2 million years old. I'm a dinosaur. You know what I mean? But God just gave me this vessel. So just the shadow side, the apathy, something really important to talk about, especially right now with what's going on in the world. Shadow is coming up to be cleared. Apathy is going to be very prevalent because people aren't going to know where to go because they've not been sovereign. They have not used their own mind to think for themselves. You know, so just wanting to kind of put that out there to your community and my community and see if we can help people. And you've just been amazing.
Yeah, the thing of it is, I'm just going to say real quick, we are not afraid to help you, right?
There's no fear.
I'm not afraid to talk to you. I'm not afraid to deal with soul stuff. I'm not afraid to talk to the ancestors. You know, I'm whatever's clever, man. Whatever you're trying to do, I'm down to get down with the get downs if you're trying to get down with the get down. But the thing of it is, I cannot control your skepticism when it comes to your ancestors and your spiritual gifts.
Right, right. But that's when the saying comes into play. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Right? So you are essentially, we are way showers, amongst other things. That's just one of the titles. Way showers, especially being life number 8.
Yeah.
Being blessed, but some people can look at it as a curse, with living at the top of the 8, the height of the height, and the lowest of the lows. And then in between, we experience everything in this lifetime. Not many soul paths experience that. So it is our duty to help people with guiding them with their spirituality and whatever trouble that they may have.
See, the thing is that you triggering a meditation that I used to do trying to gain gnosis. I would do the infinity meditation because, you know, I wanted gnosis so bad, right? I'm doing guided meditations and stuff, and I'm doing the infinity, right? And I'm following the going up and down, back and forth, you know. And then, you know what I did, sis? I stopped in the middle.
Ooh, what'd you do?
I just stopped in the middle.
Yeah?
That's where we're at right now, right? Because it's not like we're going up to the up. It's not like we're going down to the down.
Right.
Figured out, like, let's just find this point of gnosis, of communication, of oneness. Because we can do the alchemy of it, or we could do the meditation of it. We could do the cosmic oneness, the bliss of the sacred clown, the Heyoka Way, and alchemy, and we could be successful, and we could be, you know, down and out, right? But let's just be one and whole, and we can see the up, we can see the down, we can see the left, we can see the right, we can see it all from this perspective.
Yes. We got the telescope.
Yes.
Of the stars, the moon, the sun, everything. Yes, I'm with you on that. And would you be willing for us to do kind of a guided meditation for people that are in the middle?
You gonna do it, or you want me to do it?
No, I'm saying us together. We do it live, but I mean, I've written meditations.
Sure.
But I just I've not given them to anybody because I'm still going through the process of discovering, of giving my gift to the public. I've done it privately, so.
Yes, I mean, I've done guided meditations. I've done intros to meditations. Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's whatever is clever. Your spirit must saying we need to do a guided meditation. So let's do it, you know?
It is, Kyrie. Definitely. I'm sorry, I gotta cut this short. I gotta go show a house too. I gotta go back to reality. I gotta go show a house. I just got booked on a tour.
Hey, that's what we talk about. Material gain, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, my friend.
Overflowing, okay? Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Well, I've got one more card.
Let's see it.
Flowering. And this is an ace. Every seed is everywhere. So we just planted a shit ton of seeds right now.
Ashe.
Ashe, on a lotus. With the big fat belly and everything hanging out. Just,
Yeah.
it's a lot of beauty, a lot of love, a lot of healing, on many different levels, not just, okay, let's heal our trauma, but
Right.
you want to heal the trauma within your family bloodline. And I want to get into that with you too as well.
Hey, we could we just scratched the surface because I wanted to talk about Heyoka, and there's so much
Yes,
that I talk about. So we already discussed how this was going to be the first of many. So we'll be back better and stronger the next go around. That's just a guarantee.
absolutely, Mr. Kyrie. And you have a beautiful weekend with you and your beautiful family.
Same for you. Same for you. But keep in touch though too.
I will. I'll be in touch tomorrow. Thank you,
Okay.
everyone, for joining.
Peace.
Bye.